Welcome to Wealth Made Simple with Shaz, where you'll learn how to master your money through business, property, and tax-saving strategies. Your host has collectively helped his clients make tens of millions of pounds in additional profits through these strategic approaches to business. Introducing Shaz Nawaz, an award-winning chartered accountant, property tax expert, entrepreneur, and property investor.
Today on Wealth Made Simple, I am going to cover with you some of the foundations you need in order to be able to create wealth. And wealth is a topic that has different connotations and different meanings to different people. Some people might say having wealth is having more money. Some people might say having wealth is having a healthy family. Or some people might say having wealth is having freedom. And many others. By the way, feel free to send in your thoughts on what wealth means to you. But specifically today, I'm talking about creating financial wealth and some of the things you ought to do in order to be able to create that. And I think what people sometimes, and some people sometimes are guilty of, is they want things to happen quickly. And creating wealth isn't something that happens overnight. It happens one step at a time, one activity at a time, one day at a time. So you need to be patient, you need to stay on course, and you need to persevere in order to be able to create the wealth that you want to create, which is obviously going to be in line with whatever your financial goals are. And I'll obviously talk about that a bit later on. And quite often, some people might say, well, I wasn't born rich, or I don't have enough money. So how am I meant to create more wealth when I can just about survive? And as true as that may be, I know lots of people, including myself, by the way, who started off with pretty much nothing at ground zero. So building wealth, most importantly, is a mindset. And once you get the mindset right, then everything else follows in situ, one by one. So the first thing I want to share with you is you need to get to know your money inside out. And by that, what I mean is get to understand your income and your expenditure. And I've lost count now of the number of people I've spoken to where I've said, how much exactly do you spend each single day, week, month on different types of activity? And broad brush, someone can tell you that they spend X amount on their mortgage. They can tell you what their council tax is, mortgage or rent, by the way, or how much they're spending on council tax, a bit on food. But there are so many other costs that they spend money on that they aren't fully aware. And it served them well in the past, by the way, and I think it's going to serve you well as well. In fact, I'm pretty confident it's going to serve you well to track all of your expenditure line by line. So how much money are you spending on tea, coffee, eating out, takeaways, soft drinks, chocolate, if you smoke, cigarettes, other things that you might do, good or bad habits. And once you can list out everything that comes in, which usually for most people is a salary after they've paid tax on it, and then look at what's going out, you can then obviously budget and manage properly. And remember, if you run out of cash or you're spending more cash than coming in, do not turn to credit cards because if you can't pay your credit card debts, they charge a lot of interest. So it might seem like a good idea at the start, and you might think you're pretty smart by doing balance transfers, but those mechanisms soon run out, and those options soon run out, and then it's hard to keep up. In fact, I was talking to somebody last week, and they were telling me they had, I think, about £4,000 in credit card debt, and they'd be making a certain amount of repayments every single month, which is pretty much the minimum payment. And after about 5 years, they'd paid back 4 times as much as they owed, so £16,000. And when they called up the credit card company, they were told they still owe £2,500. So initial debt, 4,000. After quite a few years, they owed more than half of it back, even though they had paid 4 times back. So it can add up very, very quickly in terms of the interest charges. So be careful of credit cards and credit card debt. I mean, if you're disciplined and you pay up your credit card every single month, all well and good, but situations change, circumstances change. Things are working well today, you might lose your job tomorrow, you might have to take a pay cut or a different job, and things won't be the same. So you've got to make sure that you're in charge of your finances, and tracking your expenditure is going to be an eye-opening experience for you. I kid you not, simply because you're going to be able to see exactly what you spend money on and where money is going out, and you'll soon see, well, I'm spending this much money on coffee or cigarettes or eating out, takeaways, whatever you might be doing, or different online subscriptions. We're all guilty of signing up to different things all the time, be it something to do with Netflix, Amazon, or something else. By the way, I just use those two as an example because they seem to be quite popular. And you can quickly see if you actually cut your expenditure, which you can do reasonably easy. And obviously this doesn't apply to every single person, because if you're out there and you're pretty disciplined with your finances, then you haven't got that much wastage. But most people generally have some form of wastage, and if you can cut that and reduce it, then you can start using that money to start investing and getting a return on the funds, as opposed to obviously just spending it every single month and being on the hamster wheel, if you know what I mean. And it's the same thing. There's more months left after the money, and it's always a struggle. So to manage your finances, get to know your money and see exactly where it's being spent. And most importantly, look at the leakages and see how you can stop them. So that's the first tip for you. The second one is invest in yourself. And this is most important, and I'm sure you've heard many of the different sayings that the best return is on the investment you make in investing in yourself. And that, from my own experience, that is one of the most truest things ever, simply because when you invest in yourself, you improve your mindset, you improve your outlook on life, you generally tend to become more positive, you generally tend to become more committed, more dedicated. And even if you're, let's say, pretty relaxed about life and the way that you do things, and even if you procrastinate, once you learn more, you're compelled to do more, even though it might take you a long time. So there are some people who've learned a lot, and if you ask them, they'll say they're guilty of not having implemented everything that they've learned, but they've implemented enough to have a clear return on the investment that they made in the knowledge that they've gained. And of course, it helps you to become a better person, it helps you gain confidence, it helps you to share your knowledge with other people. So this isn't just about you having a return for yourself. There's a wider perspective here, which is that you can help and support other people out there who are on a journey, and your support might just make that small difference. And I'm sure you've had some experience in life where you've given somebody some advice and they come back to you after a period of time and say, that thing that you told me at the time, and you said it was just a small piece of advice, I actually implemented it and it's really had a profound impact on my life. So investing in yourself is a phenomenal thing to do. And quite often when I talk to people, the number one excuse that they give is, I don't have time. Don't have time to read books, work on self-development, personal development, watch webinars, go on courses, have a coach, some kind of a mentoring group, so on and so forth. And yet, if you ask them to track their phone to see how much time they've spent on social media, not learning, by the way, but just interacting, engaging, looking at stuff, and how much time they spent watching documentaries, for example, or movies, or the stuff, or sit around and with their friends talking about stuff which might not necessarily improve their outlook in life. And lo and behold, they have more hours than they need. And the simple step about investing in yourself is, all you need to do is, if you don't have time, make time, But even if it's just spending an hour a week, okay, which is 52 hours a year, just learning about something that you want to get better at. So obviously, if it's wealth creation, you want to learn about wealth. You want to learn about money management. If you're interested in business, obviously, learn about entrepreneurship. If you want to become a better speaker, learn about speaking, a better writer, learn about writing and everything that entails. Yeah, and once you have the thirst and the quest for a particular topic, you're naturally going to increase the number of time that you spend on that particular topic, and then 1 hour a week might become 2 hours a week, so on, so forth, and that will that education and the learning journey that you'll go on will have a profound impact on you, and that will help you to obviously improve your life in whatever aspect you want to improve it in. And this isn't just about money or wealth, by the way. If you want to get closer to your personal belief, to God, obviously spend time doing that. If you want to improve your relationships with your family and friends, commit to that. If you want to make a difference in your community or society, commit to that. Whatever your goal may be, or your goals as a plural, then commit to learning more about that and doing more about it. The third one, which I think is probably the most important of all things that I share, is surround yourself with the right people. And you've probably heard people say in the past that your network is your net worth, and that's absolutely true. So if you want to become better at something, then be around people who are better at that thing. So as a youngster, sometimes I used to play snooker, and a friend of mine said to me, if you want to get better at playing snooker, play with somebody who's 2 or 3 times better than you. And my natural and first response was, well, they're going to beat me every time, and I don't want to lose. But they said the bigger thing is once you see them play and see how they actually play, and how they play the shots, how they think about the shots, then you're going to up your game or improve your game naturally. And that was one of the best pieces of advice I've learned, and obviously I've taken that and implemented it in a wider perspective. So depending on what you're looking to do, my advice to you is surround yourself with people who are positive, people who actually want to do stuff, and people who actually know about something that you want to either know more about or you want to get better at. And that's really going to change your own, because we all have self-limitations. Let's be honest about that. And what we thought we could achieve, let's say 10 years ago, if you look back, most of us, I guess those who've implemented stuff would say that glass ceiling that they had soon became the floor, and now they've broken through a number of glass ceilings. And for others, it may be that the glass ceiling that they had still remains the glass ceiling. And the difference between those two people, generally speaking, is the first one would have learnt stuff and then implemented it, and the second one would have given in to the self-imposed limitations, and they are self-imposed, by the way, and would have just said, I can't do this. And generally, people give you a whole host of reasons why that may be. Sometimes it's, I don't have the education. Sometimes I don't have the confidence. Sometimes I don't have the skills, don't have the time, don't have the interest, the inclination. There's always don't have something. And replace that with I do have something, whatever that thing may be. And all too often I find people have self-imposed limitations, which are really limitations in their own mind. Those probably don't really stop them going out there and achieving what they really want to achieve and what they could achieve. But because they already mentally give in, well, then the game's over. You're not going to be able to achieve, I think whether the quotation is right or not, it's quoted often enough that Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So whether that's authentic or not, that's not the topic of this conversation. But those words, okay, are as true as any other word spoken, because if you believe you can do it, then you're going to find a way of doing it. And if you feel, think, believe, understand, comprehend that you can't do it, and because you've already given up, you're not going to do it. It is As simple as that. So these three are the initial mindset things that I think you need to address, overcome, adopt, embrace to help you move forward. Then moving on from this, it's important that you have a healthy relationship with money. And you, generally speaking, in the UK, money is a subject most people don't like talking about. They want to keep it private, and they're not comfortable. And I don't mean sharing all your finances with every single person that you meet wherever you go, but have conversations about money and be comfortable with it, and talk about money to your life partner if you have one, your family, your friends, just generally, so that you're comfortable talking about money. Because like I said, most people aren't comfortable talking about money. They have an aversion to it, and money likes those people who are comfortable with money. And Kira and I did a whole topic on some of the things money likes, and if you haven't listened to that, go back and find it, and hopefully you'll find that useful, and there'll be some things in there which you probably haven't thought of, and if you implement and adopt them, you'll be able to adapt your life into having a relationship with money that is more healthy than it may be right now. The second thing, which is a really hard thing to do, by the way, is you need to remove from your mind the stories you heard as a child. And these usually are the ones with negative thoughts, negative connotations. So most people who've come from let's say a working class or a background tend to, and I'm one of those, by the way, tend to be brought up with stories where they hear money doesn't grow on trees, money's hard to come by, we're only working to pay the bills. Those people who have lots of money usually end up doing something bad to get the money. Money makes money, so if you're not rich, you're not going to be able to make a lot of money. You can only make money if you're really clever. You can only make money if you've got a lot of education. And some of those things might be true, by the way, especially with education, may help you to some extent. But it's not the be-all, end-all, because education isn't just about going to sixth form or college or post-16, I think it's called today, nowadays, or going to university. Education is a lifelong skill, and just because you haven't been to university, it doesn't mean it ought to hold you back, because you can self-educate yourself on the things that are important to you to help you achieve your goals. And so many times I talk to people where they've got a degree in something, and they say, apart from let's say if you're a doctor, dentist, or something where you have to have a degree, most other professions, people say the degree that they did served them no real purpose in doing what they are doing at that time, or what they might do in the future. So don't let the misfortune, if I can call it that, or the lack of opportunity of not being able to have access to higher education, whether that was a choice or it wasn't a choice, stop you achieving what you want to do. So coming back to the stories, those stories tend to hold us back, and those stories end up forming who we are as a person. So you need to work on yourself to diminish and eradicate those stories from your mind, so they don't hold you back, and have a mindset of abundance where you feel that you deserve all the success that you work towards, and that money is something, and wealth is something that's achievable, and if you do the right things at the right time in the right way, that you'll have your fair share, and your worthy share. And once you change that, the way that you think, then your relationship with money, the things that you think about in terms of money, how you act, how you behave, how you do things with money, will soon start changing. And of course, as I'm talking about stories, there are kind of three forms of stories, generally speaking. There are those stories that you hear from other people, whatever they might be. There are stories that you tell to other people, And the third one is the stories that you tell yourself. And that third form, the stories that you tell yourself, is the most important form in terms of defining who you are and defining who you could be. Because if you're caught up in regular, routine, frequent negative self talk, then your outlook, generally speaking, in life and towards what's happening out in the inner world tends to be negative. But if you're telling yourself positive stories about how good things are, how much better they may be if you do certain things, how much opportunity there is out there, how much abundance exists out there, and all the other positive things you could do, then generally speaking, your outlook will be positive. And if it's positive, then you'll be in a better frame of mind. Because I'm sure you'll agree, when you're in a negative frame of mind, your level of achievement and attainment is going to be nowhere near as good as when you're in a positive mindset and you believe that the world is your oyster, anything's achievable as long as you put your mind to it. So it's very important that we all reframe the stories that we tell ourselves in terms of whatever we're looking to do, and especially when it comes to wealth creation, because I think the majority of this particular pursuit, if I can call it that, or self-pursuit, is mindset. And it's difficult to put a percentage, but I'd say, anything above 50%, maybe 60, 70% is mindset. Some would even say maybe 80% mindset, and the remainder is implementation. So once the mindset's right, the belief system's right, then you're more likely to act and do things and achieve them. And the third one, linked to this particular subtopic, is the belief that only rich people invest money and only they can make money because money makes money and I have no money. So if I have no money, how am I meant to make more money? And I'm only working here to pay the bills, and I can just about make ends meet. And like I said earlier, there's more months left than the money. And that's how it's been for the last 5, 10, 15, however long years. It was the same for my parents. It's the same for the people that I'm surrounded with and by. So it ain't going to get any better quickly. And you need to change that particular mindset and find ways. And it's never easy, by the way, and everybody's situation is different. And it's easy for me to sit here and share ideas with you. I have no idea what you're going through right now. And you might be going through a very difficult time where really you feel in your mind maybe there's no way out. Or maybe it's not that bad, but you're just not taking enough of the right steps to change your particular situation. So this particular topic is aimed at those who have the opportunity to change things and they have the flexibility, but they just don't realize. Those who are out there who are really struggling and living on the breadline, it's harder for them, and I get that. But if you have some scope and you look at your money management and you budget and find out where those leakages are, and look at how you can stop those leakages and then start investing that money, yes, it's going to be a long, windy, bendy road. It's not going to happen overnight. If you're investing £100 a month, you're not going to be recouping an additional £100 a month that quickly in using the more traditional methods of investment. But over time, you'll start seeing a return. So slow and steady wins the race. But having that mindset that only rich people invest and money makes money and I have no money, so therefore I'm already not on an even keel, so how am I supposed to move forward, isn't going to help you move forward whatsoever. So those are the bits that I want to cover with you in the first half. Just talk about, get closer to your own money and see how it works. Invest in yourself because that pays you the best return. Surround yourself with the right people who are positive and who know about things that you want to know about. become comfortable with talking about money. Try to, as best as you can, and you can seek external help from counseling and other people to assist you with having a healthy mindset about money and removing those negative stories that you heard as a child, and moving on from the mindset that only rich people invest and only rich people have money, because that could not be further from the truth.
Thanks for listening to Wealth Made Simple. You can follow and contact Shaz on the Facebook pages Entrust Property Tax and The Profits Wizard. You can also find Shaz on LinkedIn, YouTube and Instagram. Alternatively, email him at shaz@aa-accountants.co.uk. Build your wealth by mastering money.